Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Kat. Today I would like to talk about the PhD application process in the United States and offer you some tips and tricks to get into your dream PhD school. As we all know that applying to a grad school in the United States requires the GRE, the letter of recommendation, any publications that you have for the research of interests, and statement purpose. So in this video, I will talk about each of them and tell you what you should include and avoid in each of those documents to increase the likelihood of getting accepted. So if you like this content, please like the video and subscribe to my channel as I offer all the tips for the PhD process in the United States, alternative careers for PhD students and advanced degree holders. So without further ado, let's get started. So before diving into the actual application package for those grad schools in the United States, I want to take a step back and think about who are your audience of reading the materials that you're going to submit to. So unlike college applications where there's a committee of admission, review your documents all together and then they might come from all different diverse backgrounds, graduate school applications are typically reviewed by the professors of a particular program. And that program typically has a scope. So for example, in life science and biology, there are typically programs for genetics, neuroscience, developmental biology, or biochemistry, right? So they have each very specialized departments are in charge of those programs. So in terms of the audience, these professors in one particular program would review your application. So what is the common ground of these professors? How do they judge if you are a good candidate to get interviewed and get accepted? So they have to be attracted to the application package. What really attracts a professor, right? It is a potential student that can contribute to their own lab and get the fundings for their lab, get publications for their lab, and make the program proud. So you have to have a package that really attracts their attention and demonstrates that you can make their program proud. And the extreme of this is some schools actually pick candidate students based on purely individual PI's interests. So for those schools, you have to contact the PI directly and convince the professor that you are really an asset addition to their labs. In that case, the application process is very similar. There are similar amounts of the materials that you have to prepare, but ultimately the audience are professors and your interests have to align with theirs. So they know that, oh, this student is great. I can see him or her be in my lab and really contribute to the future of my lab. With that in mind, now let's talk about application process. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, typically including in the application package are items such as the letter of recommendation, the statement of purpose, any publications, GRE, and grades. And there are other small supporting documents which I think are not as important as the ones that I mentioned before. And even among the ones that I mentioned, there are tiers. Let me rank them based on the importance, I think, for your graduate school application. So the first tier is definitely letter of recommendation, any publications, and state of purpose. The reason why I say these are the most important items in your package is because those things can really demonstrate three key items. One, what is your interest, which is demonstrated by the statement of purpose. Second, do you have an experience in that field that you're interested in? That can be demonstrated by the letter of recommendation. The third is, are you good at doing that? That will be definitely demonstrated by the publication, but also supported by letter of recommendation. So these three key items are really the decision factor if a professor would like your application package or not. First of all, to demonstrate your interest in a particular field, we have to talk about the statement of purpose. So you might think this is similar to college essays. I would say a little bit different. College essays, you really can be out of the box. You can really talk about different unique stories to you and make yourself stand out and, draw interest from the college admission committee. However, for grad school, there might not be that many out of the box ideas. You really have to be focused. You have to demonstrate your dedicated experience, study fields, really focusing on the program that you apply to or, specific field that you're applying to. So for example, if you're interested in genetics, you really want to demonstrate a long-term interest in genetics. So how you tell the story can be a little bit different, but ultimately the key message is really, I'm fully committed in genetics. I want to go to this program, your program, the best program in the country, right? So these are the key essential message you want to deliver through the statement of purpose. Second, I cannot emphasize how important the letter of recommendation can be, right? Because academia is such a small world. The professor in the college would potentially know the professors in grad school that you're interested to apply to, right? They might be best friends, they might work in the same field. So if you can get a great letter of recommendation, I would say your graduate school application is 50% there. It is a relationship building process as well if you have the resource. So for example, during undergrad or during your gap years or any other opportunities, you can work in the labs. If you can get his or her letter of recommendation, a good one, because you do want someone that have decent amounts of interaction with you to write the letter of recommendation. Because if the PI of the lab is famous in the field, but he or she has no idea who you are and what you've done in the lab, then the letter will be very generic. You will not get any points by having that letter. I would rather suggest that you should pick the postdoc or junior faculty that's in that big lab, if any, to write that letter of recommendation. And they can really demonstrate how capable you are to do those experiments and how challenging these experiments are and how you can be a collaborative person working in the lab. All these great qualities that professor might look for in the next graduate students. Thirdly, but most importantly, if you have any, is the publications. It does not matter if you're just a co-author. It is really challenging to get a first author paper from your undergrad or before your grad school. So nobody really expecting that. If you have one, great. That definitely adds so many points on your application. If you help anybody in the lab that currently you're working in, you should maybe ask him or her if you could be added onto their paper, because those will really help your graduate school application. So the second tier will really be all the scores. So the GREs, the grades that you have in college. They're not really critical, but it depends on the program that you apply to. They can demonstrate your capability of learning. So for example, if you're applying to engineering program, then any high score in the GRE math section or the college courses in engineering or mathematics can really add the points as well. But if you get a relatively lower score in GRE, but you have everything else perfectly aligned, I will not delay your graduate school application any longer just to get a higher GRE score. I've heard several cases that, my classmates or friends that I know, they did not get a high GRE score and they still got into a top graduate program in the United States. And the last tier, I would say, are any other supporting documents that it's more like nice to have, right? So for example, if you have any extraordinary awards or any activities that you're interested in, that can be there, but I would say really deprioritize preparing those documents and focusing on the top tier. If you're still early in your graduate school application process, maybe try to get a little bit more experiences working in the lab to really demonstrate your interest and demonstrate your capability. And if you're almost there, maybe, really try to get that quality letter of recommendation and perfect the statement of purpose. So last but not least, I just want to say that even though you have everything prepared, don't forget two things. One, really tailor your statement of purpose to each different program, because even though it's all, let's say, genetics program or chemical engineering program, they have different focus as well. They have a different type of faculties. So please really read through everything on their website and make sure that you really highlighted those differences and demonstrated why you're interested in that specific program. Second of all, I want to say that after you prepare everything and submitted everything, if you didn't get in, that does not mean that you are not qualified in that program. I have heard my friends that was told he is overqualified in certain programs, and it could be just timing, maybe the program that you applied just have limited resources, or the PI that you're interested to do research with are not hiring this year. So my general advice for you all out there that are trying to get into grad school in the United States is keep trying and don't give up, and ultimately you will get into that dream school. So that is all for today's video. It is graduate school application in the United States in a nutshell, but I hope this helps, and really I wish you all good luck and get into your dream school soon. If you like this video, please thumb up and subscribe to my channel, and thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.